Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast. I'm your host, Donnie Corm, and this is the show where we discuss how investors just like you can find, figure, fund, fix, and flip a deal now in the Colorado and Arizona market. And on this show, we're going to be discussing our first flip that we just got done in Scottsdale, Arizona, and why the Arizona market might be the best place to be investing right now. It's going to be a great show. Stay tuned. Hello, and welcome back to the Foreclosure Deals Coach podcast, the show where you can learn how to find, figure, fund, fix, and flip a foreclosure deal with a target profit of $25,000 or more. And listen, guys, a lot of people have asked me, if these are such great deals that you're doing, why don't you just do all of the deals yourself? Well, a couple reasons behind that. Number one, in our best years, we did 40 flips in 2020, 47 flips in 21, and then 45 flips in 22. A lot of work. Many people have asked me, how did you manage that many flips? Well, to be honest, not well. In that stage, my wife and I were working as a team. I was the acquisition and funding stage of it, and my wife was running the project management side. So needless to say, when we did more deals, it created a great deal more work for Laura, and we were doing fine for a while at maybe 1 to 2 at a time. But once we got to 3 to 4 at a time, it was just running completely out of whack. We couldn't do that many deals. Figured out pretty early on that was just not the way that I wanted to live my life. Let's face it, there's more to life than money. And we learned that there's a way to scale this process by involving a team of people, but we were so far into the process at that point that it required kind of shutting the operation down and retooling it with the proper foundation and team underneath it. A lot of businesses go through that phase where they realize that they're not where they want to be and they got to change up to a different methodology. That's where we found ourselves, and that's ultimately what we did. The market also took a nosedive in 2022, so the timing was incredible to go ahead and get started building that system and team, and that birthed, if you will, the foreclosure profit system that we have today, allowing investors like you to do the deals so I don't have to do all the deals and I can still utilize the large amount of deal flow that I've created over the years from doing this many deals, but allow the clients to keep the back end profit while my team and I make money from finding the deal, doing the analysis, and funding the deal by making an assignment fee on the upfront portion of it. So it's the perfect storm of allowing me to maintain my deal flow while helping people like you to build wealth through real estate investing. Well, over the years, one of the complaints that I've had, if you watch the show at all, you've heard me say this a couple of times, but I am just not a big fan of being cold, and Colorado doesn't really allow for that. And I got to be frank with you and say that something in February kind of triggered me. I don't know, the snow, the below 0-degree temperatures, whatever it was, I had my fill. You ever been there? You ever been in a situation where you're just like, enough is enough? Well, I hit that point sometime in the February months. I told Laura, we got to get out of here. We booked a flight to Arizona, went down there, kind of impulsively bought a house, which I've showed you guys on a previous episode on Mitchell Drive. We are working in that property and working on that property and staying there. Currently, we're back in Colorado, wrapping up some deals here as well for clients and et cetera. We'll be heading back down to the Scottsdale market here relatively soon. And while we were down there, I stumbled across this incredible deal on 2938 North 61st Place in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, if you're familiar with Scottsdale at all, you know that there's kind of a suburb, a richer city inside of the Phoenix metro district. It's where a lot of people with money go, and there's a lot of snowbirds who go to Scottsdale. So snowbirds being defined as people who only live there during the pleasant months, weather-wise. Right now would not be described as a pleasant month here in July. When we left Scottsdale, it was about 115 degrees outside, which is dumb hot. If you've ever experienced that, it's like putting your face in a dryer vent and letting it sit there for a while. That's just walking outside. But the reality is you're spending most of your time in air-conditioned space, right? So people are going, how are you dealing with all that that heat down there, you're not really dealing with it, right? You're either in an air-conditioned house or you're in an air-conditioned car, but you're not really exposed to the elements. And unlike the Colorado market, where it can be cold for 6 to 7 months out of the year, we're in July right now. I'm at home. The temperatures may be in the early 70s, and it's not bad. Don't get me wrong, but this is about it. I actually played a show last night in Fairplay, Colorado, dealing with a bunch of wet conditions. It was raining. It is so beautiful up there. It's hard to complain. Don't get me wrong, but just not my cup of tea. I grew up in the Hawaii market when I was a kid. I was born in Brooklyn. We went to Hawaii for a while. So that's kind of where I got acclimated to weather, what I really enjoyed. And let's face it, who wouldn't love Hawaii, right? And then we moved out here to Colorado, and every spring and summer, like now, I love it here. But the winters, and they seem to be getting longer. I don't know if it's just the fact that I'm getting older, but I got to tell you, the cold is not working very well for my wife and I. We've been looking to get out of the winter months here in Colorado for some time. And so Arizona being a very short flight, did you know that you can get to Arizona? You can fly out of Colorado Springs Airport using Allegiant Airlines, okay, for only $65. It costs more to get an Uber, okay, from Colorado Springs to Denver, which is about $100 than it costs to fly down to Mesa, Arizona. Think about that, right? The catch with that is Allegiant only runs that hub during the fall and winter and spring. They shut it down in the summer because most people are not trying to go to Arizona when it's 110 to 120 degrees. So it's logical why it's shut down. So it's a little bit more. You do have to commute out of Denver, Phoenix. You have to fly from Denver to Phoenix, but on Frontier, it's still only about $100 flight to get there one way, mind you. So think $200 round trip, but very reasonably priced to get down there. The inconvenience, you got to commute up to Denver, figure all that out. So I'm still spending $100 on the Uber ride to get up there. I'll find a friend or a family member to drive me up. I've been bumming it that way, but we are figuring it out. Let's get back to this, okay? We got this property on 61st Place, and it's 2938 61st Place, Unit 234 in Scottsdale, Arizona. And let's start with the before, because the condo wasn't in bad shape, to be honest with you. Now, this I picked up from one of my wholesale contacts that I've got down in the Arizona market. My first stop when I first went down to the market was to introduce myself to as many of the larger wholesaling groups that are down there as I could. We did several lunch meetings, just getting to know people down there who I wanted to work with and who could provide more deal flow to the system that I could pass on for myself and for my clients. So here we are inside the condo. We got a Matterport on it right away. It's a little 1 bedroom, 1 bath, right? So pretty basic condos, a lot of 1 bedroom, 1 bath condos. People will buy condos in this market just to keep. They come down there to golf during the winter. Maybe they live in New York or they live in another cold climate, and they'll buy a condo just to have it as their get out of the winter place. So these are pocket change for these guys. We bought this condo for $183,000. It wasn't in terrible shape, but the real magic happened because we were able to get this flip done in about 2 weeks from the date we started the construction to the date we finished the construction. And I apologize, I'm not sure you guys were seeing any of that. Let me go ahead and share my screen here and let's walk through it. Oh, you were. Okay. I'm going to show you the after now. So let's hop back in and we're going to go to the condo as it looks today after 2 weeks of work on this. This was about what we got it to. Laura's still our team interior designer. My wife, she does a wonderful job of getting this thing in great shape, picking out the color palette that was going to get this thing sold. And as you can see, it came out gorgeously. And we're talking in 14 days of construction, okay? This takes a very unique team. This is not for the people who are just getting started to get a flip done this fast. But I will tell you that the construction resources in the Arizona market are far more easy to access than they are in the Colorado market, right? And you can really cite that to the seasonality of it. About 6 months of the year, it's difficult to work here with the weather and what's going on. So a lot of people, construction specifically, migrate into different markets so they can find more work. So it's just harder to find people. Arizona is definitely hot in the winter, but the very largely Hispanic crew that works down there is down there year round. They go a little bit north sometimes, get out of the heat, but you can go 3 hours to Flagstaff, Arizona, and you'll find ski resorts up there. Nothing, of course, like what we have in Colorado for sure, but you actually have snow in Arizona at the higher altitudes. And as a result, you've got a much larger construction workforce than what we have in Colorado. So here's the after. Obviously, we replaced the floors. We got paint and trim throughout that was redone. We replaced the cabinets. Those were off the shelf from Home Depot. So no lead time on that. Not as much savings, obviously, when you don't go custom, but decent enough savings with this amount of cabinets. Just the speed of this was worth it. We've got the granite waterfall cabinets, countertops, which I think came out beautifully. Laura picked out a wonderful tile for the bathroom, as you can see here, came out gorgeously. And this is stuff that's all kind of happening at the same time, which is why we were able to get this flip done in about a 2-week period. Well, that's wonderful, but the real magic of this is the money, right? So let's talk about that. Well, after doing this flip, after 2 weeks, we listed the property on the market. We have a real estate agent down there that gives us an incredible discount on our listing, just like we have here in Colorado, because we're able to offer them volume. And we were able to sell this property in 2 weeks, about 3 weeks on the market total, for about exactly asking price, $265,000. The buyer asked for some closing concessions, which is normal in this market. We granted those concessions because the market is slow and it just makes sense right now to give some concessions to the buyer to allow us to get the property sold quickly. Ultimately, we're going to be closing here in the second week in August at $265 minus concessions. The net on that with the agent commissions about $250 that we're keeping. We're into the property for $183 plus about $22,000 in remodel. We're going to net about $245 to $250 total take home on this. So a net profit of about $40,000 with 2 weeks of construction and 3 weeks on the market. Total ownership on this property will wander below 3 months. We're going to be closer to 2.5 months in total time that we're going to own this property, right? It's an incredible opportunity because we were able to do this so fast. And the speed of this allows you to make a lot more money because you're not paying the holding costs. You're not paying the interest to the lenders. You're able to turn the property quickly. And this is where you can make real money on flipping because you can now do 5, 6, even 10 of these a year. It's very easy at this speed. It's difficult when you're doing upper end flips that require a lot more work. It's harder to get this done if you don't have your construction resources dialed in. And to be honest, the Colorado market has not been favorable. We expected that rates were going to drop and get better. They have not. Okay, despite the fact that we believed that was going to be the case once Trump was elected, they're working on it. Looks like Powell's going to be resigning or stepping down here pretty shortly. But to be frank, a lot of the properties we have in the market in the Colorado space are languishing. Our days on market is wandering close to the averages, and the averages are in the 40s to 50s in most of El Paso County. To be frank, in Scottsdale, the days on market's a little bit higher. It's actually wandering somewhere between 60 and 70. So they are definitely depressed in that space. But the reason that is because Scottsdale buyers are buying largely on the uniqueness of the property. Right? You have to really know that the people down there typically have a little bit more money to play with. They're going to buy what it is they want. And it's not as based on price per square foot as we have here in the Colorado market. You have a luxury market, which people who can buy whatever they want. When you're driving around the Scottsdale area, you're going to see a lot of luxury cars. And I'm a car nut, right? If you follow me on social media, you know that I've recently got this Mini Cooper obsession. Long story for another show, but what you are seeing is more expensive cars. Rolls Royces, Ferraris, Lamborghinis, they are everywhere because there's a lot of wealth in the Scottsdale market. A lot of golf is being played in the Scottsdale market. There's a huge amount of huge conventions like the Waste Management Golf Tournament, things of that nature are all happening in the same time frame. So what's taking place is you have wealth, and if you give the people what they want in that situation, they will be happy to buy the property if it looks good. This was the case here. We picked up the property relatively cheap. We got it done in 2 weeks, and it sold in about 3 weeks on the market, well above, what the property below it sold for, because the property below it went for $250 and was not fully remodeled like this one is. Let's take a little more look at the property because I'm so proud of how it came out and the time frame that it came out in. Of course, we're staging them. Again, you are appealing to a higher marketplace, so that you have to look really good. So that was critical. You've got, I love this barn door that they put in here into the master bedroom. The door layout was really weird when we bought it. You might remember it from the tour I just showed you. It's a nice area. It's got a pool. The HOA is only $230 a month. So that's a pretty good value. You see some much higher HOA dues in this market, simply because people are, the HOAs, they don't do much, but honestly, they can charge more because the HOAs are like small countries there, to be frank with you. So we were happy to find one that had a low HOA fee. Again, the results speak for themselves. Bought it for $180, spent $22 on the remodel, selling now for $265 minus concessions and minus commissions to net about $40,000 in profit on this in a very short period of time. And needless to say, we are super eager to head to our next deal in the Scottsdale market. The thing you have to know when you're comparing the Colorado market to the Arizona market is here in the El Paso County area. You ever thought about what the population is? Let's just take a quick look at that, all right? Population of El Paso County, Colorado, right? I already know the answer, but we're gonna do some research here just to get a comparison, okay? So the current population of El Paso County, Colorado, according to Google here, 744,215, and that was in 2023. The actual trend that people are saying is it's probably going to trend downward because people are kind of exiting this state with some of the legislation changes that are taking place. Colorado has not been as desirable. Other thing you might cite is that, the blue states versus the red states. Depending on where you lean politically, you have to know that the blue states tend to struggle longer in economic conditions based on the policies that blue states tend to yield. When we're in a red state, we got a president who's largely red, maybe the reddest president ever in history with Trump here. The red states are starting to flourish a little bit sooner, and I do believe that trend is going to continue. Let's compare that to Maricopa County, Arizona. Obviously, a lot more real estate. There's a huge amount of space. And when you look at Maricopa County, you've got Scottsdale, you've got Phoenix, you've got Glendale, Chandler, Peoria, right? A huge amount of cities all built into this one county at 4.6 million people. So it goes without saying, with that many more people operating in that market space, there are simply more opportunities, more buyers, more sellers, more of everything in this area because of the sheer volume of people that are going. What's great about the foreclosure profit system, guys, is you can do your flips anywhere in the country. I've got clients in New York, California, some in Arizona, a huge ton in Colorado, because that's where I'm based. But if you want to do foreclosure deals, it doesn't matter where you're located because the system finds the deal for you, does the analysis, provides the funding, locates the construction crews, and sells the property from wherever you happen to be. Your involvement is only that you got to provide the capital down, and then you have to fund the rehab as it's taking place. So there are definitely moving parts. You've got to provide the money for the parts when they are needed. You got to provide the money for the labor when they are needed, because if you don't pay your trades on time, they're not going to continue to do work, and they're going to get an attitude about the work, okay? So my system is managing all of those things for you with my team that I'm dialing in. And to be frank, the team in Arizona is very, very new. We've got a ton to learn about that market. But despite that fact, we got this flip done in a 2-week time period. We're working on the other flip on Mitchell, which I showed you a few weeks ago. That's doing pretty well. We should be listing that in about the next 2 weeks or so. And we bought that one for $655. We're going to spend $70 on the remodel, give or take, and we'll be selling that for $825 to $850. So that's $100K spread on that deal. And now we've just done this condo, got it done in 2 weeks, making 30, 40K on a deal we're going to be in for less than 2 months. My point in all of this is I can take you from the concept of doing your first flip deal to actually doing a deal in 30 days or less. Instead of thinking about it, getting a guru to teach you all this real estate education, then having to go out and find a deal on your own, the foreclosure profit system solves all of that for you, allowing you to get started doing deals and making money within 30 days. You could be in your first deal within 3 to 4 months after that, cashing your check on your first deal after it's done, remodeled, sold, and then the money's back in your pocket so you can move on to the next deal. Is it the ultimate investment vehicle? Well, I think so, but it's up to you to decide that on your own. If you want to find out if the foreclosure profit system is right for you to start doing deals in either the Colorado or Phoenix market, give me a call. Go out to foreclosureprofitsystem.com, register for a call. Let's spend some time going over how the system works and if it's the right fit for you and your investing situation. I would love to work with you if you're an active investor who actually wants to do deals. Now, if you're like most people, just want to talk about it, something you want to discuss, this is probably not the right fit for you, okay? My team and I are professional investors, but it's kind of like investing in the stock market. If you want to talk about investing in the stock market, there are forums online, there's Facebook groups you can go to, YouTube videos you can watch. But if you're ready to go from thinking about doing this to actually doing deals, there's no better system, in my opinion, than the foreclosure profit system. And the timing is incredible because the market is shifting right before our eyes. There are a ton more foreclosures hitting the market right now, and the opportunities are everywhere. Tune in next week. I'm going to tell you about a deal that we're doing right here in Colorado Springs and the backstory behind it. It's incredible. I'd love to talk to you guys more about that. With that, this is Donnie Corum, your foreclosure deals coach. Thanking you so much for tuning into the show today and reminding you now and always, don't buy a house, buy a